Welcome to the latest edition of the Piledriver podcast. Live tonight, and a bit of a special about wrestling gimmicks. I'm your lead host tonight, the Heartbreak Yid. Hope you're all doing well. Right, over to Gav. We're going to have a bit of wrestling news. Something about Lance Storm, I believe. What have you got to tell us, Gav?
Lance Storm, an interview with Figure 4 Daily with Brian Alvarez. I can never pronounce his name.
Oh, yeah.
I never pronounced that right. He's up for one final match, but he only has to be against Jericho, who is also his first ever opponent.
I did hear something about that, and I'd heard that Lance Storm would come back for one match, but only if it was against Jericho, his first ever opponent.
That's
now, does that go back to the ECW days?
Before ECW, I think he
still
started when he was training, wasn't it?
I think it might have been like on the independent circuit, maybe.
Yeah, both Canadian, yeah?
Both Canadian. I think Lance Storm was also trained by Stu Hart as well. So all from that mould.
I think Edge was one of them. They all travelled around together, I believe. I've read a few things about them.
Right, yeah.
Lance Storm, I always thought it was boring, so... What's the next bit of news then?
Jericho, the Jericho Cassidy special guest moderator situation that seems to be going on in Dynamite is allegedly going to be Eric Bischoff.
Eric Bischoff.
That could be interesting.
No, I did see something about that because you told me to watch AEW, and I'm pretty sure I've seen this thing where Jericho was a bit mad about Orange Cassidy sat with his legs up. And he says, we're going to have a debate. You know how Fat Jericho does these days.
Yeah. Chris Jericho.
I've heard this rumour that it's going to be Bischoff. That kind of is the referee of this debate. And apparently the guy, like you said, Pepsi, Max.
CM Punk.
If you want to buy Pepsi Max, we don't condone it.
CM Punk.
Oh, I like that. That is a Tottenham Hotspur.
The nice thing about it is sponsored by Tottenham Hotspurs. Yeah,
I think we're getting sidetracked here, aren't we?
So Eric Bischoff's coming back. Oh, I don't know how I feel about that because nearly everything he touches turns to crap eventually. It starts off really well, but it's almost like a sort of a Venom/anti-Venom, isn't he? He's just like.
Am I right in thinking that AEW Dynamite is not live and it's taped?
It's taped at the moment, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this Space Force One, this Reddit user, predicted accurately this one of the recent Dynamites or pay-per-views or the Fight Fest maybe, and he got it all right. So he's a trusted source.
Right. Okay then.
Nobody knows who he is. That's what I've read about this Reddit user, this Space Force One.
Inside job,
so there's a good chance it's going to be Eric Bischoff. Let's just hope he doesn't get hold of the creative team, eh?
Yeah, very true. Yeah, we don't want him to get his hands on that. And next bit of wrestling news as well.
Final one. Gallows and Anderson actually almost signed for AEW, apparently, according to Cody Rhodes. It was an interview with ESPN. He said they were at the finish line, but apparently he wanted too much money. He gave him one figure and then he said, actually I want this much, while he was pissed up, basically.
Right. You see, Gallows and Anderson, did they do enough in WWE to start barking high wage demands from other wrestling promotions? I'm on the side of no, because I think without the AJ Styles collaboration, would they have just been a couple of bottom end mid carders at very best?
Okay, I don't even know they are.
But I did like them though on the AEW video last week when they turned up and they were sort of they got together with the Young Bucks and they started doing the two sweets and then they started saying basically like fuck AJ Styles and fuck Finn Balor as well. We're the real Bullet Club. You know what I mean? So that was class.
AJ Styles is the best wrestler active today.
It's a good touch, that. Very tongue-in-cheek.
Then again, though, Gallows and Anderson could be like Zack
Only because
Ryder
I've
or
retired.
Matt Cardona. He only started on a short-term contract, apparently, as well.
Oh, right, okay.
So he could just be for one little title run on the TNT title, possibly, and then disappear again.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I can see them making an appearance in AEW, though, and I think it would work. You know, them and the Young Bucks obviously have the history, don't they, of the Bullet Club, so I can see something working either with them or them going against each other. But I think at the moment it's quite strong as a tag division in it on AEW.
The males is, yeah. There's no female tag teams. Although apparently they have signed some more for the Tag Team Appreciation Night.
Oh, have they?
There's a couple of female ones added as well, I think.
It needs to grow, doesn't it? That side of it needs to grow. The women's tag division, definitely.
And the women's division, they've got like 10 stars.
Yeah. Yeah, but I do like, I mean, there are some good competitors in there, though, but yeah, onwards and upwards. What's on the main section tonight, then, amigos?
Before we start that, I want to ask, Gav, you say that AEW keeps beating NXT. Does it beat Raw and SmackDown as well?
Probably not, because they're on a major network.
Yeah. NXT is a different network at the moment, but I think is it last 2 weeks in it, Gav? 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh, they've actually
destroyed it. I'll tell you the way what I've been looking at on the internet when I'm doing my research about things and reading different articles, that it could be that AEW could start getting them bigger channels, them bigger networks, and getting that push, because I think people are bored of WWE. They want new products. They're bored. Right, let's go on. Main section. Bring your gimmick. Get your gimmick on. Get your gimmick on.
Just bring it.
Basically, what I'm going to do is talk about a few wrestlers. Now, there's loads of wrestlers that changed gimmick, and I'm not going to do people like Stone Cold Steve Austin, who's been called the Ringmaster, because it's always been similar. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to look for quite differences. The first one I'm going to go for is a wrestler that most people nowadays will know as the Godfather.
Whole train.
Oh, brilliant. WrestleMania 16, I think it was the opening match. It was a tag team match. I think he paired with D'Lo Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the walks down the ring, pimp, easy, man. Big cigars in massive, outrageous outfits. Big hats, I think one was bright green, the other one was bright orange.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant entertainment. I can't even remember if they won that fight or not, but it was great start for WrestleMania that year. But people remember him as Papa Shango.
Yeah, Papa Shango.
Shango got a major push.
Yeah.
He feuded Ultimate Warrior.
He did.
He was involved in Hulk Hogan situations.
Undertaker as well, I believe. There was a few with the Undertaker, I think, as well.
You've got to think, Godfather was a massive guy.
Yeah.
Right? And that gimmick worked, did well for him. Papa Shango seemed to disappear really quickly.
Yeah.
But it should have done so much better. You've got
it was a great gimmick,
guy. Yeah, I thought it was a great gimmick. Witch Doctor.
Yeah, big doctor.
On people. Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah. And
it should have done better. And I think how it failed is I just think, I'm not even sure of his real name.
Charles Wright.
Do you know from our cheat sheet next time? Can I have real names too?
Charles Wright.
Thank you.
Yeah. Charles Wright.
Thank you.
Said it twice, but he still don't listen to me.
Inexperienced when he started Papa Shango, and he just got better at the business when he was the Godfather. So let's put it down to that.
But then that wasn't his only change, though, was it, Phil? Who did he morph into from the Godfather?
Something Kamala or Karma. I know it was another one, but they were the main two that I wanted. It was when he joined the Nation of Domination, I think.
Nation of Domination, yeah, because that was The Rock, D'Lo Brown, and Farouk from the APA, the Acolytes.
I have to play you one little thing to remind you what else he turned into. And it's this.
Oh.
They were a fun little heel group for a while.
I love this group. I loved them.
I loved
Next
hating
one
them.
I want to go
It
through.
was so easy to hate.
I'm going to move on from Godfather. I've got Godfather, Pap Shango. Dave, what did you think of Godfather? Did he entertain you?
I thought the Godfather was great. I thought it was a good gimmick. It didn't stand out to me as a gimmick that was going to be holding any major titles for a long length of time, but it was just fun, you know. And when you've got a lot of sort of faces and heels, you just need that something in between, don't you? That gimmick that just breaks it all up. It's a little bit of fun. It's not to be taken too seriously. And like you say, it just adds a bit of colour. And I suppose if you go to a live show and a character like that comes in, I bet it's brilliant, because I can imagine everybody in the arena would just buy into it.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got a 2-hour show weekly, and if you're doing a pay-per-view, you're talking 3 to 4 hours. You can't every match in a top carder.
No.
You've got to have filler, and if you can have good filler, then you've got it. In Godfather was absolutely brilliant mid-card filler, fun action. Got to give a bit of respect for Godfather. You got to.
What about Gav? What's your opinions on when he turned into the Godfather?
Yeah, with Stephen Richards. I hated that so much.
Stevie Richards, Bull Buchanan, Victoria, and Val Venus.
Val Venus, who lost his penis and got it back, and then turned into Val, not Venus.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And
I lose track.
do you even remember Papa Shango?
Yeah, a couple of matches.
Probably a bit before your time.
I'm not that young.
He don't look it, does he?
I remember his. I remember Godfather's return to Royal Rumble.
Yes.
After 10 years, comes back and then gets eliminated straight away, and goes back on his coach.
I didn't see that. I think Shango could have been formidable. It was a wasted gimmick. Godfather worked. I think, can we move on?
Yeah.
Can do.
Excellent. This is going to be a real quick one, but I think he did quite well at the time and in that era of wrestling. And it's, remember Men on a Mission, Mo and Mabel? Men on a Mission.
Yes.
Yeah?
Men on a Mission, yeah.
Mabel.
Briefly.
King Mabel. He won King of the Ring.
Yeah.
King Mabel. 1995. See, I knew that off the top of my head, and I wasn't reading off the screen at all.
There was a big powerhouse team. There was a bit overweight, both of them.
A bit.
Mo and Mabel.
Big guys, squash matches, wasn't it?
Yeah. And obviously they decided to give Mabel a push, so he won King of the Ring. It was quite entertaining. Obviously, he's been successful in that gimmick, and then relaunches himself as Viscera.
Yes.
You remember Viscera? The leather jacket, long leather trench coat.
That's right. He was part of the Undertaker's ministry as well, wasn't he?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And these are the sort of gimmick changes that I wanted to talk about. Mainly that stayed in the same promotion, but were quite different from each other.
Yeah.
And not a great deal to say about it. His career was very average, really, I guess. And he did pass away in 2014, age 43.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because he did leave some good moments there. It was, again, a good filler, a good bit of filler every now and again.
Final match against CM Punk as well.
Yes, his final match was against CM Punk. Will we ever see CM Punk again in any promotion?
AEW.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling he'll turn up. Just like a 2-month contract or something.
Yes.
He can't keep away.
I'm going to quickly, I won't normally, but I mean, there's loads of ones you can name, and I'll quickly name a few at the end, but I'm going to mention Kane, because when my first memory of Kane was Dr. Isaac Yankem, dentist.
The dentist.
You know, I must have been 11 years old watching Superstars on Saturday night, and everybody had a job. Your Duke, the dumpster drosy. He was a garbage man.
The teacher,
You know,
IRS.
tax inspector. Everybody had a job, and it was no different. That why not? Let's have a wrestling dentist. I mean, nobody likes a dentist.
Unless you are a dentist.
Obviously, the gimmick failed. I don't know why it failed.
I have no idea.
It's a puzzler. Yeah. And then he was also, I think, an even worse gimmick was fake Diesel.
No. His worst gimmick was unmasked Kane.
Yeah.
That was the worst one.
Well, nah, you can't count that because
Corporate Kane.
Corporate Kane was terrible, wasn't it? Corporate Kane.
You can, yeah, that's exactly what I didn't want to talk about, though, and just different variations of the same character.
Yeah, very true, yeah.
Does that to me proper gimmick change? Yankum, Kane. I'm not going to go on about this one because we all know Kane. Isaac Yankum had about 5 fights, I reckon. That's all I can remember.
Was Fake Diesel about the same as well? Fake Diesel didn't have that many fights, did he? Do you know what I mean?
He came back with Fake Razor Ramon, didn't he?
I know. I mean, why?
Because they own the name. We must use
I
it.
read that. Well, don't worry about them leaving. We'll just replace them with different actors. We own the characters. So we'll replace them.
It's okay if you can hide behind a mask, then you can get away with it. But it was just blatantly obvious that no, that's not Kevin Nash, and that's not Scott Hall.
Why do you think WCW beat him in the ratings for about 8 to 12 weeks on the show?
Oh, it's a puzzler, Phil. It'll come to me. Yeah.
It's exactly the same reason AEW is going to do the same to him very soon.
And the next one.
Next one. Moving on. I'm going to do Sean Waltman.
Do you like my notes
Sean
for this
Waltman.
one?
Gavin, give me Sean Waltman character.
Sean Waltman character? 1, 2, 3 Kid, one of the first wrestlers I remember for some reason.
Did his first match? Did he beat like a top wrestler? Was it?
I watched it. I remember watching it. I was a kid. I used to watch every Saturday night. I used to watch the wrestling on Sky. I think it was before it was called Raw. It was the Saturday Night Superstars, something like that. And Scott Hall, it was Riz Ramon in his gold, I had Chico. And Riz Ramon,
That's right.
And he took his my toothpick. And then the 1, 2, 3 Kid, that's just said, hey, I think it was just called The Kid. It's Riz Ramon versus The Kid. And he did that moonsault off the top turnbuckle and pinned him 1, 2, 3. Becoming known as the 1, 2, 3 Kid.
And
Everybody will probably know him now as X-Pac, Sex-Pac, Six-Pac. Whatever you want to know. But
this is the moment, Phil. This is the moment.
Got to be careful for copyright. We don't own any rights to that clip, honestly.
It was an awesome moment. I remember watching it, and then the kind of feuded. And I remember 1, 2, 3 Kid ended up, I think, matching up with Marty Jannetty in a tag team for a bit.
Wow.
Not very long. And obviously, he kind of disappeared, and then all of a sudden returned as X-Pac.
Yeah.
And then he had he had good friends, did X-Pac.
With the X-Pac,
very good friends.
X-Pac, did he? Do you know the Bronco Buster he did?
Was very baby face. X-Pac has always been heelish. 2 very different gimmicks, in my opinion.
Phil, wasn't the Bronco Buster one of his moves, right? I'm sure I remember hearing that he actually split his bum open while doing it. That's what I've heard.
Didn't know that one. Right, I'm going to quickly move on to the next one. Sean Waltman wants
no. You've got to have my notes for this one. 2-time Hall of
Famer,
1-time porn star.
You're going to have to
on this one.
I've got
You're
some
going
really good
to have
notes
to expand on this, Gavin. 1-time porn star? That hasn't got anything to do with One Night in China, has it?
It does. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
So he's a 2-time Hall of Famer and 1-time porn star.
Yeah.
Although a second Hall
Well,
of
when
Famer.
you look at him, as a 1, 2, 3 kid, does he not remind you of like a young Dave Grohl from his Nirvana days as well? When you look at that.
Oh,
Except
yeah.
Dave Grohl didn't have a mullet.
Budget Dave Grohl.
Yeah, budget Dave Grohl.
Before Dave Grohl was Dave Grohl.
Yes.
Well, he was always budget D-Generation X, if you ask me.
Do you know, I hated him. I absolutely hated X-Pac. I couldn't stand him.
Like, happy about his bump splitting open then.
He was just like one of those wrestlers. I just thought, what are you? You know, what purpose do you serve?
To be fair, I think his finishing move, that one where he, you know, where there was not his finishing move, but you know, he ran across the ring and started pumping him like he was desperate for sex.
Yeah, it did actually happen that the aforementioned Bronco Buster incident in 2013. He nearly died from ripping his anus by doing a Bronco Buster.
However, he is an Hall of Fame wrestler.
Yeah, very true.
He was 40 at the time, so he's 47 now, ish.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so much fun, you see, right?
He was about 14. 1, 2, 3 kid was very exciting. That first match, though, when he beat Riz Ramon, was a very exciting match, and it was so unexpected.
Yeah, it was.
So none of the stars got beat then by the jobbers. You know, everybody just thought he was a jobber.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I think the only time I've seen it happen since that springs to mind is Carlito's debut when he beat John Cena for I think it was for the US title. You know, and it was that kind of impact. It's like, wow, hang on a minute. This guy's he's beating an A-lister. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
absolutely,
effect. But yeah, next one's a good one though, Phil. I'm looking forward to this one.
Well, I have missed one out, which I'm going to go back to. So
go for it.
I'm not going back to him yet. I think I'm going to do him last. I'm going to go with the next one, the Blue Blazer. The Blue Blazer I remember seeing very early on in my life when I had VHS tapes of old
and when you had a full head of hair
wrestling events. And I didn't know the Blue Blazer was, but I didn't think, wow, this guy can jump and somersault and do acrobatics. And I thought nothing of it. And then a few years later, Hart Foundation, Bret Hart, Owen Hart. I then later found out that Owen Hart was the Blue Blazer.
Yeah.
Now, if that's not two different bloody personas, I don't know what is. I'm not going to go into what happened to Owen Hart. Rest in peace, Owen. But what a great wrestler he was when he wanted to be. You know, I don't think he ever had any ambition to be at the very top ever. I think he wanted to get in, get out, look after his family. Such a shame what happened, but like I say, the Blue Blazer. Have you ever seen any footage of him as the Blue Blazer? Either of you?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Have you seen it before he brought it back?
No.
Yeah, because is that how we started off with Blue Blazer?
Sorry?
Was that the original gimmick?
Yes.
The Blue Blazer. It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Owen Hart's original gimmick was the Blue Blazer. And he brought it back. And didn't he die? That night he was going to be Blue Blazer that night.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Owen Hart's original gimmick. Now, there's loads of stories you could do a full podcast about Owen Hart. He was one of the biggest ribbers there was. Always taking the mick out of the other wrestlers, playing practical jokes. They hated him, loved him, but hated him for the same reason. I mean, as the Blazer, he had so much potential. He was a high flyer, absolute massive high flyer. As Owen Hart, he could be mean and serious, but also absolutely great technical wrestler. For me, he was a little bit more fun than Bret Hart. Bret Hart went through the motions. It was always the same. I mean, don't get me wrong, he had his standout matches with Bret Hart. But for me, Owen Hart, you know, could be that little bit more dimension to him. I don't know, what do you think, Gav, about that? I mean, you know, Owen Hart?
It's a bit, when I was a bit too young to really know anything but Hogan, really.
Yeah,
I wasn't into it enough at that time, I think.
I think the good thing as well about Owen Hart was, like you say, Phil, he didn't have any intentions, did he, of being the main star?
He didn't want it. He
didn't really want to be a wrestler, did he?
To carry a company himself. Yeah. He wanted to make his money. He loved his family. That's what I've read. Obviously, that's from interviews from other wrestlers. Not that were given to me, but you know that I've read.
I think he was due to retire once his contract was up. At that point, he had no plans to go to another promotion, did he? I think he just wanted to.
He just wanted to earn his money. He wanted to go to work, do his job, and go home to his family.
That was it. Yeah. One of the really good things about his career, though, when he wasn't the Blue Blazer, when he was actually Owen Hart, was when Bret put him over, which I don't think many people were expecting, and he beat Bret. But also when he turned heel as well.
He was a great heel.
Yeah, he was. He was a really good heel.
He was a great wrestler, but there was also that incident with Stone Cold Steve Austin.
To do with his neck, by any chance?
It's a little bit to do with his neck. And I have read an interview with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he said the thing that disappointed me the most is that Owen never rang me to say, how are you doing? I'm sorry.
To be fair, if I'd pissed off Stone Cold, I wouldn't really want to call him. And broke his neck.
He says, you know, he thought it would have rung him, but he never did. He says he knows he was sorry, but he wished he'd have rung him and told him.
That would have been better.
But, you know, right, we're going to move on to the penultimate one I'm going to do, which is Raven.
Raven.
Hey, Dave, the Phoenix has risen. Right. Okay, so I knew Johnny Polo first. Johnny Polo was a wrestling manager.
Yeah.
Around about 1990, he used to wear, well, like a polo outfit, I guess. He had a polo stick, long hair, like a good-looking guy, really. I never thought of him as anything else than a manager. But then, obviously, let's fast forward, boom, to Raven joining WWE, because I never watched ECW then, or WCW. I watched WWF. So when Raven joined, I thought, oh, this guy then seems all right. And kind of fizzled out, I think. I don't think he was really used very effective. I think he had an hardcore title win, maybe European, maybe not, I'm not sure. Probably over the tag teams at one point. Can't remember specifically. But he was nothing more than a mid-carder, was he, at WWE and WWF, you know? Would you agree with that?
He was a low mid-card. Yeah. I wouldn't say mid-card even, really.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that really stuck out for him was his stint in ECW, wasn't it? And the work that he did with Taz, Tommy Dreamer, Sandman, Sabu. And it's because I think he was hired for WWE because of his hardcore gimmicks, his hardcore matches. But in terms of moves and persona, pretty naff.
Yeah, maybe so. You know, there's a story that I heard, and Vince didn't actually know that they'd hired Raven. Again, hired him back.
Wow.
I can believe
I think Jim Ross had a lot to do with hiring him at the time. And when he found out about it, he goes,
"That's good shit."
What the fuck we hired him for?
Yeah, I think that's what I said. Something similar when I saw him. I was just like, what? Yeah.
Who dat?
I think, yeah, I'm sure I've seen him in at least one decent hardcore match around 2000. What would it be? I think. Around the year 2099 to 2001-ish. He was in a few good matches. As Johnny Polo, I just thought it was a bit of a
douche.
Manager, really. I know
Yeah.
what you mean, because, you know, I know that Raven's well respected in the ECW well. I know he is. And there might be listeners here today that miss ECW. And if they do, come and have an hardcore with me, you daft cunt. Sorry for swearing.
No, but I think
That is a big slab of toffee. That's what I've been like picking on. Sorry. So if you can hear on the podcast, random. It's me eating a massive chunk of toffee that was 50p.
I thought that was the crab shell.
But
Right,
I've got a whole other toffee over here.
And I don't even know if I followed my rules, really. But the last one.
I don't know. That was very related to actually a random fact about him, Phil.
The legend.
Philip.
The hardcore.
I'm sure he can't hear us, can he? Phil, you need to get your ears cleared. I was making a very important point by the fact I'm eating loads of toffee. My random fact about Raven is he's type 2 diabetic.
Yes, great link.
Yeah, good excuse to eat more toffee.
That was seamless, man.
And yet Phil ruined it.
You know, you're lucky that we're not in the same studio, because if you was,
the heartbreak you would have kicked my ass. I'll kick your ass like I kicked that crab's ass earlier.
His Branzome
Brawler.
title plan.
Two-time champion.
Two-time Branzome Brawler champion.
Two-time.
I retired the championship belt.
There was a belt?
Raven, great for the hardcore side of things.
27 wins.
Manager gimmick, but yeah, he's one of them. I can take it or leave it with Raven.
I think he could have been used better, pushed better. I think WWE wasted him and didn't want to push him. You know, he had a lot of massive fan base, ECW. He had a massive fan base.
Yeah, he did.
But that's ECW, though. And WWE did not like hardcore.
Yeah.
PG-13. A bit more credit than he gets, I think. That's my opinion. I'd have kicked his ass, but...
Standard film.
Right, last one then.
Yeah,
this guy was told by WCW he'll never amount to anything other than mid-card. You'll always be a jobber. You know? So he left. He went to fight a lot in New Japan Pro Wrestling, I believe.
Yeah, that's
where
right.
We had legendary fights with Terry Funk and people like that. Legendary hardcore fights, and I'm talking where things you wouldn't even see in mainstream wrestling, like the ring being set on fire. That's where ring ropes made of barbed wire.
Yes.
All sorts of things like this. And this guy emerged from that scene, and he worked and he worked and he worked. He loved wrestling as a kid, and as a kid he made this persona up that he wanted to be when he was older, but nobody was interested in him.
Is this your life story, Phil?
This is the life story of a certain Mick Foley.
Yes.
Michael Foley.
Mick Foley.
Sir Michael Foley.
Cactus Jack. Or Mankind. Or Dude Love.
I absolutely loved the Dude Love gimmick, and loads of my mates absolutely despised it. They hated it. But I thought
that was the gimmick. Dude Love was the gimmick that he came up with himself as a kid, as a teenager. He wanted to be like the California Coffee.
That's the one.
Sorry, Phil.
You've got to give credit to Mick Foley. Whatever he did, he did so well. Such a great performer. I didn't know if it was cheating using Mick Foley, but when Mick Foley joined WWE, as WWF, they like to give him an identity and own that identity, don't they?
Yeah, very true.
So they didn't want him to be called Mick Foley. They didn't want him to use Cactus Jack. So they made Mankind. They promoted Mankind. And then Mick Foley himself grew from that, and he gave a great interview discussing his early life and all of his injuries. And Vince McMahon got around to it. He listened to it, and he was touched by it. And he got Mick Foley into his office, and he says, "Look, Mick, how would you like to be Dude Love? If all you've ever wanted to be is Dude Love, I'm going to let you be him." And that's where it came from. And then, obviously, the great promos where he was Dude Love and Mankind and Mick Foley, and craziness ensued. Rock and sock connection. What can I say? Please, one of you had a story about Mick Foley. Mick Foley, great.
And is there a title that Mick Foley, during any of his gimmicks, didn't win? Has he won every single title that a male wrestler could in WWE?
I don't know if he's a Grand Slam, is he?
Did he get the European title as well when that was on the go?
I can imagine he might have done, but I can't. About Intercontinental.
It was tag team, obviously.
Yeah, tag team. Top
heavyweight. Yeah, heavyweight champion.
Well, it's a great program with the Rock. Where they exchanged titles a few times.
He hasn't won every title for Grand Slam.
Oh, he hasn't. So has he not got European?
It might be European that he hasn't got, but there's only a few that actually have them all. Like Jericho, he's won every title under every format possible, and Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, if you
say
one, then
I know he's
one gimmick. Which one would it be?
When he was in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
And sorry if I talk over you sometimes, guys. My speakers are so quiet I can't hear you a lot of the time.
Do what I do. Wear headphones.
That's what I said to you earlier. I'm going to get an headset. I did say that. You
did, but you still haven't got them. Borrow Isaacs. It's in the house somewhere, isn't it? Nick Isaacs. There's a white pair of these somewhere, or a red pair.
Well, I might be able to afford them. Might be able to afford them from Amazon. But I bought some because I like to sing sometimes. I've got like mic stands and that.
He likes to
see
and hear himself.
Bill, here's one for you.
No, real quick story. I bought these covers, filters to go over the microphone. You got a pack of 10 for like real cheap, £2. And I thought, oh great. I mean, I don't need 10. I need 2. But I'll get the 10. I need £2. And they came and they were like thimble sized.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Was that a wish special?
If I get an headset, maybe we'll fit on one of those little microphones on the headset. Yeah.
Was it a wish special?
Yeah, wish special.
No, it's from Amazon.
Yeah.
It was from Amazon. I should have looked at the description a bit more closely. But,
Every day's a learning day, Phil. Every day's a learning day.
So to finish our main section, get your gimmick on. I hope you enjoyed it. There's a few special mentions, like Undertaker's changed his style of gimmick a few times. He's been a dead man. He's been, the badass and all that. Hunter S. Helmsley, Paul Levesque, when he was WCW days. Hunter S. Helmsley, Triple H, very different. Rocky Maivia, The Rock. Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Ringmaster. Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Whoa, before you go any further, Phil, go back to Hogan. What was the other gimmick that Hulk Hogan had briefly?
Oh, that master goose, wasn't he? Mr. America or something, wasn't it?
Mr. America.
Oh, God, that
one. Of course, yes!
That Blue Master did not make it obvious at all that it was Hogan with the stash hanging out.
They used to be called Terry and something Boulder. They were the Boulder Brothers. But that's before he signed with WWF.
Can we go back to Mick Foley for 2 seconds, though?
Remember we was talking last week, weren't we, about PlayStation 2 wrestling games? Was it Just Bring It?
Smackdown, Just Bring It,
And what was the other one with Lesnar on it? Here Comes the Pain, something was it? Something like that.
Yeah.
But Hulk Hogan had, on one of those 2 games, he had Hollywood Hulk Hogan, and he had obviously Hulk Hogan on there, and they wouldn't put Mr. America on there because he wanted too much money for the rights.
I can
to
believe that.
Mr. America.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So otherwise, here's some other gimmicks as well, because those are great ones. But you want about wrestlers who've reinvented themselves but still kept the same name. So Sting is another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you look
Yeah,
at Sting from the 80s, who looked a bit like Billy Idol with face paint.
To Bruce Lee's son.
Yeah,
in
to
the
move
Crow.
on to the Crow.
Brandon
The
Lee.
Crow type gimmick, wasn't it?
Brandon Lee, his name.
Brandon Lee,
Yeah,
that's
Brandon
it,
Lee
yeah.
was.
gimmick.
Not anymore, is it?
And Jeff Hardy as well. He was briefly called Willow in TNA. I don't know if anybody's seen that gimmick before,
Why?
but it's
Was
I
he,
haven't.
was
look
he
at it.
on drugs at
It
the
looks
time?
like something out. It looks like something out of Labyrinth. It's just really weird.
He was on drugs at the time, though, so it does explain a lot.
Definitely.
I've heard some nasty
But-
things about Jeff, yeah.
But one who's still currently going, who's even got his own multiverse,
Oh, yeah.
Matt Hardy.
Now,
Because we've got
I didn't want to include Matt Hardy because it's still Matt Hardy, Matt
Okay.
Hardy, Matt Hardy, Matt Hardy.
It's just special mentions, it's fine.
I have just heard
Yeah.
that Matt Hardy has said it's time for me to be myself, Matthew Hardy. Now I like the sound of that.
big money Matt Hardy. But some great ones
Right.
there, Phil. Really, really
I
good.
think there was
Really,
some
really
real
good.
good things, some good memories there. I think. Papi
Fantastic
Sango.
ones. Good choice.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to do obvious ones. Do you know?
I've got two bad jokes this week as well.
Wrestlers' birthdays. Now I'm going to do the first one.
I feel like I'm talking to myself when Phil talks.
I think he might be related to Dave over there,
nice.
Davy Boy Smith Jr. Davy Boy Smith, the British Bulldog's son, is 35 today. I don't know the other guy, so please enlighten me.
The other guy, sorry, I was replying to a message. Austin Theory. He's
I've heard of it.
he's up and coming. He's with WWE at the moment, but I can't see him beating him that long because they're never going to push him.
He's played a few matches on Raw, hasn't he?
Yeah, but he's not really. He was Seth Rollins' disciple for a while, but that's about all he's ever done.
Yeah, and it's is he going to be somebody who's going to be cast aside and maybe turns up on Impact or AEW? I don't know, but yeah, regardless, one thing you can't take away from him is that it is his birthday today.
And he's 23. I remember being 23 once.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Austin.
I don't remember. Yeah.
And the other one, Phil?
Happy birthday, David Boy Smith Jr. Right, is it time for a joke?
There's two. The first one's the worst.
Oh.
How does the Big Show order his steaks? Well. Oh. Yeah.
Better than last week.
Oh.
In fact, there might be three.
Go
So,
for it. Do it, I dare you.
where does Michelle McCool sleep at night? Undertaker.
Oh, that's brilliant. That is gold.
And the final one, and it's not very good. I do have to apologise. I've got it written down once I'm going to find it. Why is John Cena always tired? Because he always gets up at 2.
Oh, yeah, he does. Yeah.
And that is the bad jokes of the week. 3 of them.
Bosh. Shots fired.
Painful.
Right. Who's seeing us out then? Are you going to see us out talking about the shows currently?
I'll leave that to you if you want. Since you actually watched an episode of Dynamite at last.
Yeah, let's get your views, Phil, because obviously me and Gav have been very AEW heavy, haven't we, on recent podcasts. So let's get your debut viewing review of AEW.
I hate Cody. I absolutely hate Cody. I'm sorry.
For all
I like
right
Jericho. I
reasons,
like stuff with Jericho. I like the stuff with Orange Cassidy. I absolutely love the fact that Jim Ross is doing the main commentary. It makes it sound like authentic just because he's there.
Good old
And
JR.
that's helping me.
My
That's
God,
helping
he broke him
me
in
bridge the
half.
gap from what I'm used to something new.
And the fact that
If you understand
they
what I
actually
mean.
don't have a censor on it as well. They dropped the F-bomb
Yes.
quite a few
The other
times.
guy, that Tony guy, he's from WCW. Because I've read about him. God, he looks a bit old.
Tony Schiavone.
Yeah, Tony Schiavone. Taz has always been good colour commentator anyway, because I remember he's always been good at it. Jericho's all right at it, but it's like he's playing an even more exaggerated character of himself in WWE. He's even more exaggerated, which I think works really well. Orange Cassidy's cool, but he's so small when he's standing in with the rest of them lot. And he's tiny.
Yeah.
I didn't realise he was small and tiny.
But he does pack a punch when he needs to.
Well, he's cool and he's dynamic. And will he ever hold the big title? Don't know.
I won't want to get my shins kicked by him. Definitely not.
Do you know, I get my shins knocked by bloody wheelie bins nearly every other day. And I tell you what, he can kick me in the shins all he wants. If he comes to me in my domain, the Heartbreak Kid would have a glass of orange juice with Orange Cassidy and say, "You're all right."
Phil, how tall are you?
6 foot, just.
You are taller than Orange Cassidy. He's 5'8". So he's quite a short one, but he's also done a lot of lucha, but Mexican wrestling as well. So he's.
He needs to put a mask on and go to Mexico.
Yeah, but you look at small wrestlers. Rey Mysterio's not had a bad career, has he?
Look, Cassidy's cool.
Well, he's only got one eye now.
Cool persona. I hope he does well. I really do. I really like Orange Cassidy, and I want the T-shirt. I told you. What do I have to pay?
What was
Mine's on
your
order.
Well, I'm going to give my mate Dale his business. We Are Design Limited, which are based in Hull as well.
A little name drop.
So Dale,
Dale Whitlaw.
That's Dale Whitelaw. Yeah.
Whitlaw, sorry. Yeah, I remember Dale. Hi, Dale. I remember you. Used to work with you. Can you remember?
Back in
I was
the
the
days.
good-looking one at the end. Yeah, you remember? Good lad.
So that'll be a 10% discount, I think, now, Dale. Now that we've name dropped.
I think
the
it could
company
be.
there. I think so. You know, I think give it a few more views, Phil. See what you think on that one. In terms of
I'm
Raw
looking
or
watching it.
SmackDown, has anybody got anything to say on that? Because I've seen those this past week.
I watched the first half hour of Raw and I turned it off. Can't watch it. It's dull.
It's painful, isn't it? It's painful watching Raw.
I've got to be honest with you. I think I'm done with it.
Yeah, it's hard work.
Absolutely. The only one that interests me now, nothing interested me, and it's because of you two. AEW now interests me.
Yeah.
I don't have
Converted
time
him.
to watch any other promotion unless I get a good review from somewhere.
There's one good thing that's on SmackDown that keeps me tuned in every week, and it's Bray Wyatt. That's the only thing that keeps me
Another guy with a
entertained
good couple of gimmicks as well.
on SmackDown because, again, yeah, it's another one. When we're going back to the gimmicks, Phil, he's obviously got the original Bray Wyatt, the cult leader in the swamp. He's got the kids' TV show, Bray Wyatt, as well.
Firefly
also-
Funhouse.
Firefly Funhouse is just absolute money. It's brilliant. And then obviously,
Firefly Funhouse. Now that
Honestly.
does sound interesting to me.
Phil,
Because
YouTube that, it is gold.
I will have a look at that. That's my
Any of
research for
them.
next week.
Honestly, watch any of them. You don't even have to follow it. Just pick any of them out at random. They're just absolute gold. And it's because,
I will
again,
have a look.
he's another guy who's had a bit more control because this was his idea, his gimmick. And from that, he's also got The Fiend as well, which is like Firefly Funhouse's light side, Bray Wyatt, and The Fiend is obviously the dark side. But aside
sounds
from
good.
that, I would say that as far as SmackDown goes, the best thing on there, other than Bray Wyatt, is probably the women's division. The women's division, to be fair, I think is really, really strong on there. But everything else, it's just dying a slow death.
Yeah.
It's the time for one more really bad joke.
Yeah, I think so. There's always time for bad jokes.
So how many Vince McMahons did it take to screw a light bulb?
Don't know.
None. Vince screwed Brett.
That was your worst one. Should have waited for that. You know, I think I have to consult the writing team for next week about that.
We need a writing team, we really do.
Dave?
Yeah, and that's it. And I think
are you leading next week?
Yeah, so next week, I'm going to drop in the top tag teams from all different promotions historically, and also some of the worst tag teams.
Sounds great.
Historically, but from all different promotions, I'm going to try and pull New Japan Wrestling, Ring of Honor. I'm also going to get some, hopefully, ECW classics, as well as WWF/E and AEW as well. So so that is going to be the main topic next Sunday. Will be tag teams, the good, the bad, and the really ugly.
Is that us three?
I don't know which one.
I'll go with the ugly because I've got a face for radio.
I've described all three before. So.
All in one day.
So, great, really, really good, strong topic tonight, Phil. I thought it was really good because I think people who are especially new to watching wrestling won't really know the history of gimmicks with certain wrestlers as well. So it's good for people to go in and think, actually, I'm going to research that, look at Kane like that, look at X-Pac in that light, look at all the different variations of Mick Foley, but also like other ones as well, like the different reinventions of Sting, Undertaker, and the Godfather, Papa Shango. So there's a lot for people to go away. And there were some people listening going, yeah, of course, he was that wrestler. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so
that's what I wanted to provoke a little bit. Because to be fair, Dave, before we started doing this, and Gavin was asking me about doing a podcast, and I was kind of like, maybe, I don't know. Two people, you need more than that. And then all of a sudden, I'm starting to see your posts on Facebook, and they're all classic wrestling moments. And I'm like, God, this is getting me right back into this. And so I approached you, and the team was born.
Absolutely. And it's just going to go from strength to strength.
And when we can actually do a live show with all three of us in one place, not just try out and talk over this shite, it'd be great.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this, can you just lift all the restrictions just for this podcast only? That'd be really, really good.
I mean, we can if we're 2 meters apart.
2 meters apart, yeah.
Just get a wide angle lens, we'll be fine.
Yeah. Do it in a car park or something. We'll figure something out. Go to Brands Home Centre car park after 6 o'clock. There's nobody there, Phil. Do you know what I mean? We'll just do it there. Do you know what I mean? Be fine.
Oh, we can set up a ring. We'll get a ring. Set our own federation.
Well, to be fair, at the school where I worked at, we had the local hero that is Tommy Coyle, and he brought a boxing ring down to ours. So got a copy.
Left it for us.
You know what I mean? So there we are.
Tommy.
Happy days. So great podcast, guys. Anybody want to wrap this up?
I've told enough bad
Thanks
jokes.
for listening, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Piledriver podcast.
And hopefully next time we'll get a better at finishing them.
Yes!
Yeah!
Ciao for now, mate.
Yeah!
And remember, to beat the man, you've got to beat the man.
Ooh.